broadcast network, AfterBuzz TV. Over 20 million weekly downloads in over 150 countries, and your number one source for after-show entertainment. AfterBuzz TV, the destination for TV superfans, producing aftershows for over 300 of your favorite TV shows, interviewing celebrities and showrunners, and bringing you behind-the-scenes exclusives. All thanks to E! Entertainment's Maria Menounos, producer Kevin Undergaro, and internet leader Akamai. Now, let the buzz begin!
Welcome, AfterBuzzers, to another State of Affairs after show. I have the dancing crew with me tonight, but if you guys haven't already done so, please go and subscribe to our YouTube page, youtube.com/AfterBuzzTV. Check us out on iTunes, SoundCloud. Leave us some messages, leave us some comments, rate us, give us a bunch of stars, all that kind of stuff. You guys can follow us live or check out our hashtag ABTVStateOA. That is where you can find us. We are here recapping another episode. It is episode 10, The War at Home of State of Affairs. I'm your host, Steph Z. You can follow me right now and interact with me on Twitter at IAMSTEFZ. Let me introduce the panel, and then we will get started.
Ooh.
We got the lovely
Hannah, and you can follow me at the Hotshot Dude.
Julian, and you can follow me at Julian Dujeric.
And as always, you guys can follow me on Instagram at pink English.
Was that 3 pinks?
No, just
It is not purple, it is pink.
Yes, it is pink English, and then as well as on Twitter, English Speaks.
All right. So what do you guys think of the episode? I feel like we're all kind of liking the show more and more, and
Before
it's
we-
almost over.
Before we get to, yes, our producer is saying what I'm about to say. Before we get to the show, that was a fantastic opening. Can we just get a round of applause for Steph?
On the fly.
That was so
Thanks,
professional.
Guys. I totally
You've done this
forgot
before,
we
haven't
had the
you?
new intro, so I was kind of winging it. But
This isn't
I
new for you.
appreciate the support.
You're such a pro. You're such a pro. Yeah!
And wait, I have something else to say.
Okay.
Uh-oh.
We're all together.
Oh, yeah!
The band is back together. Purple people eaters. We're back together.
She had to mention purple.
I know. Can we
I
get a
had
state
to.
away? Can we get a state away? 1, 2, 3. Ready? 1, 2, 3.
three.
Stay away! I just
Alright.
made that up. I'm
I
like
love
on the fly.
that
I love it.
we all
beautiful.
love the show now that it's almost over. It's been an uphill battle for me to get you guys all on board. I'm just saying.
You're right.
And now we are here. All right. So let's get into this episode.
Let's do it. Let's do it.
Again, the beginning. What'd you guys think of the beginning? Julian, I think you were saying you thought it was a dream sequence.
I know, I did. Well, I thought it was a dream sequence because of course, I, don't like to suspend disbelief. And we didn't
So
have to in this.
serious all of a
Yes,
sudden.
I know. It was just, it impacted me. It impacted me in a very deep and profound way. No, it was a great opening. I mean, the fact that all of that is happening, and they had to escort the president off of the stage is just a great way to open a show. When you have to escort a president, the leader of the free world, off of the podium, I think is very exciting.
Too, correct me if I'm wrong, the reason why you were saying it was not believable is because how would people be throwing things at the president? But then you also went back to someone did throw a shoe, I believe.
Someone did throw a shoe at our former president.
Yes.
I was going to say Bill Clinton. They threw something else at Bill Clinton.
That was
Well.
a condom or something like that.
No, they at President Bush. So,
Yes.
Oh,
There
hey!
it
Thank you. I'm here all night. I did think it was a little odd that they were allowed to. They were, the people that were allowed to throw things at the president as if that was there was no security there, but. It's a TV show, and so you kind of.
I didn't even not believe it because of that. I didn't believe it because they jumped to extremes all of a sudden towards the president.
Well, it makes me almost think. It almost makes
crazy.
me think that they were activists in some way, kind of like PETA at fur shows, they
Right.
get
Who
up in the middle of
knows?
the runway. I think that's
was
the kind
crazy.
of the vibe that I got without, they didn't have to explain. I guess they didn't explain it, so we'll never know, but that's what I got.
It was such a high, it always opens with that
Right.
high moment, and then we're like, oh my gosh, this is gonna be the best episode. And then they get in the car and they don't even mention anything.
Yeah. And to me,
It's
it was a little
It's
bit.
like narrative blue balls.
Yeah.
Wow.
Exactly.
You just
like
got
that?
Bill Clinton in the mind,
Well,
don't you?
Right.
It's that kind of night. Oh, hey, I'm on a roll.
No, but the thing that was a little little bit for me that it was a little bit of disbelief because it seemed like it wasn't like she was addressing the public outside on the street and there was thousands of
Right.
people. It seemed like a press conference type situation where, you know, the people that were there were reporters. So it was
Right.
weird for me to see reporters doing something like that. I think for
That's
me
exactly what I thought.
yeah, I was like, wait, like, how did these people get into this press
like
conference?
I thought she was just having like a nightmare because she was writing the speech out, which we
the
were all-
president would not do.
Yeah, which we were all
Go
telling
on.
that would probably
Yeah.
not happen. But writing it out, and then all of a sudden it cuts to her having this horrible experience giving the speech, and everybody's throwing things and yelling at her. I was convinced it was a dream. I mean, I'm fine that it's not, but I just kind of dismissed that first 5 minutes after the episode really got going.
Yeah,
Right.
the way they cut it, it led you to believe that there's something kind of
Yeah.
not realistic happening. But I guess they, I don't know.
Whatever.
And
Whatever.
usually that beginning in the past few episodes has been tying back somewhere in. And the only thing that I could come up with how it tied in, because I don't believe it did as much as it did in previous episodes,
Right.
is how, you know, we'll see how the CIA is maybe coming under, you know, they're trying to figure out what's going on
Yeah.
and people are questioning stuff. And what's really being questioned is maybe the relationship with Charleston and POTUS. So maybe
Right.
POTUS being questioned, her impeached because maybe we'll find out she's done something else. That's the only tie. You know, was
Yeah,
there
it didn't
anything
really
else that
seem-
tied it together for you guys?
No, but I do agree with that because they did talk about when she was in the limo about how people are starting to get frustrated or making assumptions and wanting to attack her because she's allowing the CIA to kind of act as her security. And even though I do not like that guy, I never remember his name, like David, whatever it is, who
He's
his
like
sister,
the second or
Yeah.
the chief of staff.
whoever
Yeah.
he is. I don't like him, but I did agree with him in that sense that like she does kind of allow the CIA to control her decisions to some degree, or you know what I mean, like everything that she does and acts on is filtered first through the CIA, and even like a previous CIA agent is her briefer, you know what I mean. So I do understand that, and I don't know if that's
the
good
only,
or bad.
The only reason that I can justify that is because they are at war. I mean, America in the show is at war, and it's one of the first 3 words that are said in this episode is "we are." 4 words. We are at war. I can count.
We already checked your math skills during this
Yeah, they're
episode.
not- yeah.
13 plus
We're gonna
30.
keep
What's
that.
13 plus 38?
84. So that's the only reason. I mean, that's really the only reason for me that would happen. I think, but
Yeah.
because they're at war, so that the CIA is you know the front lines is what you trust the most when you're in a warlike situation.
I
like
guess.
an
See, I don't
intelligence.
even know.
I had a
was
problem
like,
with her
okay.
speech. It didn't make sense. Like she was talking about like equality and like no race or gender should be discriminated. And I
Yeah,
was
that
like,
seemed a little random to me
and
too.
I was like,
didn't
what is
understand it.
who's discriminating?
Well,
like,
I
in
think
this
from
war.
what she was
Yeah.
trying to say in that, I agree with you that the speech was a little weird and that she didn't write the speech and it would never happen that way. But I think what she was trying to say was with this Arvasala group that it's not prejudice to anyone in the sense of it could be anyone. There's not like how a lot of people think that
Okay.
terrorist groups fit a certain racial profile or
Right.
something, how this group of 7 that they collected are the normal quote unquote.
I get
There's some of everyone.
I didn't
Terrorism
know
doesn't
the show
discriminate.
could get that
Yes.
deep.
Gotcha.
I know, but
Excuse me.
they
Yeah.
did it.
Yeah,
you
I
guys-
think it did. So
They're really starting to tie everything together.
they
like,
kind of
This
are.
was a
I
very
know.
cohesive episode. I will give it to them. This
Yes.
episode and last week's episode were the 2 most cohesive episodes that I've seen this season.
completely agree.
If they continue this way, I have no doubt that they'll could get a second
okay.
season.
Yeah, and we don't know that yet. So
Yeah.
that'll be
Yeah.
interesting to see in the news in the next few weeks. I'm sure they'll decide whether or not. I mean, some of the other shows that I've done by episode 10, they were already canceled.
Yeah.
So I think
Right.
it's looking good.
Yeah. No,
So
you're-
we'll see. We'll see.
We'll see. The fact that they allowed them to play out the whole season is a good sign.
Yeah.
Right.
And oftentimes we know that shows get picked up for 2nd and 3rd seasons weeks before they're supposed to air. So
And I
Yeah.
mean, if they
never know.
if they do get picked up and go into a second season or a second half of this first season or whatever it is, like if they keep on this track and keep doing what they're doing,
Yeah.
I'm actually really gonna like it. Like I've been so on the fence and back and forth
Mm-hmm.
with this show, and sometimes I'm like invested, and other times I'm not.
Mm-hmm.
But these past 2 episodes, I was pissed that I couldn't be here last week.
Yeah.
When I watched the episode, I was like,
Yeah.
"What?"
Yeah.
I actually was on the edge of my seat the whole time, and I missed it.
Yeah,
and
we had a
There
fun
is
time.
more. Like this week, there were butterflies. Like definitely. And then last week was definitely butterflies. So like you said, like the action is keeping us on the edge of our seat.
And the supporting characters' backstories. I've said this from the beginning. I want to see every supporting character. They're not just there. Like every human being is a multifaceted individual, and so I want to see more of their backstories. And I'm glad that they got a little bit into the infidelity with the first husband.
Yes.
In this episode, but there was an interesting thing that the first husband said. Are we keeping score? So they both cheated?
Let's
Sorry, I just want to talk
back
about
up.
that because I'm all about the salacious
I know.
details.
All right, so
Well,
let's try and keep everybody with us, and
Okay,
let's move
sorry.
on. We'll go by topics, but we'll move on. That one we'll talk about that one next. So we have this, the POTUS now. The big thing that happens with POTUS, which then leads to POTUS and Marshall, the first man, is that she goes by Senator Kyle's wake. Senator Kyle's husband clearly does not welcome her. Her daughter does, so she stays. But that, then resolves as her drinking alone by herself, and Marshall walks in. And you can tell, and I believe I wrote down what the line was, and Marshall said, anytime we drink in silence, you're screaming inside. So that was the start of exactly what you're saying. And she kind of is questioning Marshall why he went to this funeral and didn't tell her. And we didn't know. We knew that there was something sneaky, although you kind of, gave Marshall the benefit of the doubt.
I did, because I thought, there's reason to believe that it's probably just platonic, and he just wanted to get information about the death of his son, but apparently he,
And I thought
it was more to it than that.
Marshall was like weak and like just, I don't know, just a stay-at-home husband. But now
he was back there.
He's scandalous.
I like him so much.
Well, but in the same sense, we find out that Marshall did sleep with Senator Kyle, but it was 10 years ago. So, I mean, 10 years ago, what was the situation? Was POTUS and Marshall married? I mean, clearly he cheated because they say that word, and she has forgiven but not forgotten. But we don't know. We just know that, like you were saying, building the backstory of why he is the way he is, which also throws the knife in on why he's getting information from Senator Kiley about Aaron's death and not the president.
But then he also mentioned, are we keeping score? So that kind of leads us to believe, has the president cheated too?
Oh, I hope so.
Me too.
I hope so.
That would
make for such an I think it would make for such an interesting narrative.
I don't know.
think
Someone.
she
I don't
cheated?
care who.
Maybe
Guyliner?
Charlie.
I don't care.
Maybe Charlie and
Fada?
POTUS have a little bit more of a closer. Maybe it's all in the family.
Stop it.
Come on.
Too much.
That's a step too
Or
far.
Fada.
Or Fada. All right.
Which
okay.
we did decide is
Or
very
Nick.
attractive.
G.I. Joe Nick.
Oh, stop
No,
that-
Nick's
that- it
not
would-
Nick
Nick
sleeping with
is
Charleston
Yeah.
and POTUS.
Yeah.
You never
Nick
know.
doesn't have
I
it
would
like
bet
that?
my life
You don't think
on
Nick
that.
has it like that?
I mean, there's
Nick's
got to
not
be
getting that
somebody.
POTUS
Though.
spoon out,
There's
you don't
got to
think?
be somebody that we're not thinking of that we're gonna be like, oh no.
What about what's his
Sid?
name?
David?
No, what's his name?
Sid.
The corny guy.
Maybe.
Kirk?
Kirk. Yeah.
I don't know.
So many possibilities.
All right, well, before we move on to the next, is there anything else that you guys about Marshall and POTUS, where that relationship's going? Is there anything else you want to...
I did love so much how he kind of called her out on the fact that she's his wife and still didn't let him know information about the whole Fada situation when Senator Kyle Green or whatever just passed on that information just as a friend and a hookup. It really threw POTUS under the bus a lot.
And I think that I just lost the train of my thought. Okay, sorry.
I agree with you. I think that was it was very telling that he had to mention that, I got my information from my mistress and not my wife.
Right. And I think she's sacrificing. I mean, I feel like a lot of this episode, in conversation with her, she talked a lot about how she's sacrificing or losing things based on this entire situation. And I think that all went back to her losing her husband. She's losing him in this whole war Fada situation.
Yeah.
And that that's the reason why she drinks so much. Don't you think she's always drinking every time I mean, I guess that's normal for a president, but she's always drinking every time we see her.
She
in a
needs to
scene.
drink more. She needs to loosen up, is what I'm saying.
Yeah, there's like such a small
Or get
little.
laid.
There's such a small little amount of alcohol in that, where I feel like it's kind of like if
It's
she
whiskey. You
Right,
only
but that-
need a little bit of whiskey
Right.
to get turned.
Right, but what I'm saying is, if they were trying to portray her being an alcoholic, I feel like they would make it more obvious.
Well, no, what I'm saying is she has a lot of issues. I think we're going to learn more about her and Marshall's relationship, since that's what we were talking about. I think there's more to the story. I think he has his hands more in more cookie jars than we get to see. Now his boo is dead. Now there's going to have some more issues and drama, hopefully, for season 2. Am I getting into predictions?
No.
Yeah, let's
We kind of all
back it
have
up.
one, but
Yeah.
there's definitely some
Yeah, let's
something going on
back
there.
it up and let's try and like go around the room so we can get everybody's opinions. So now we've got Arasala. We've got these 7 people detained in jail. What do we feel about how they just all start reciting the same thing? Like, how creepy
I mean,
is
it's
that?
like a cult. They
Yeah.
all have
It's
their
expected.
rules.
Yeah. I mean, we've been following them for long enough that when that scene came on, it wasn't really a shock. It was just like, okay.
Oh, see, I thought they were gonna crack somebody. No, you guys thought they were just gonna stay still and not. I mean, you expected them just to start reciting some weird stuff.
Well, the season's almost over, so they can't.
Which is true, but I figured it'd be tough. I mean, for them to get anything out of them, if it's basically like a cult, they're all brainwashed and convinced that what they're doing is right. So none of them are going to crack easily. I think it made sense. I feel like if anybody does crack, which probably won't even happen from the looks of the next episode, things just go awry. But if somebody does, I think it would take a lot of time.
Yeah. I
Yeah, I mean,
Definitely
these
wouldn't
are-
happen in one
They're
episode.
dedicated.
Yeah,
Like,
well,
they're serious.
dedicated is something I think I would even take it a step further, and they're convinced that this is their life mission.
Exactly.
So,
Right.
you know, if they're willing to lay down their life for that mission, they're not going to crack over a couple of questions.
But I
Right.
do agree with Charlie that I more so want to understand what made them decide to do this. Like we figured out that the professor was the one, you know, or it insinuates that he is the one that brought them all together. But we still don't know why they chose to do it. They're all
I have
young
an
and stuff like that. But
idea.
what's the connection? I don't know.
Maybe the connection is since he's their teacher, he's been brainwashing them
From the beginning?
No, like with their if they come to class, he's actually brainwashing them.
But
Like,
so you
teaching
think his
them.
class just has 7 people in it?
No.
No, but I don't know. Maybe they fell for the spell, or maybe his whole class is brainwashed, and we just don't know yet. I don't know.
I wonder what he. Well, there could be merit to that if we knew what does he teach? Do we know?
It didn't say.
'Cause
All
that'd be
they did
interesting
was
to
just
know.
walk in and arrest him. So we really didn't. This is the first and then we skipped the whole episode without him.
Well,
Right.
let's bring it all back around. Yeah, they walk in and they arrest him, and now they believe that he is actually cooperating
Yes.
because he gives the CIA access to these servers so that they can figure out and decode what this term paper at 153B or whatever it was means, knowing that none of them have written term papers, so that this is probably the location for where all the 7 backpacks are of
Right.
the people that they detained. So they actually think that he is on the CIA side and he is giving them information, which is kind of weird that he's giving them the access and information knowing that he's the one behind it. So does he just think that he's covered his steps that well?
Yeah.
I mean, he was just leading them there to blow them up, I thought.
Or is he leading them there to blow him up?
Well,
Which I
obviously,
always-
because he blew them up.
I've decided that I enjoy a good
Well,
blow up in these
no,
episodes, too.
yeah, but you got to think that he's smart enough to know that they're all not just going to, like, if you tell the CIA that there's a bunch of bombs in a building, the CIA briefer and all those people are not just going to run in like open arms, like, hey,
Right.
I'm going to run in so you can blow me up. Of course, they're going to use stuff. Like, he wasn't successful in. Like, he blew up the one CIA bomb tech that was supposed to, deactivate the bomb. So that wasn't
But
successful.
now he was like keeping his enemies closer. Like now he has made them believe that he, is their friend or helping them or their ally or whatnot. When really he's just getting closer to them. And being able to do an inside job to some degree.
Well, the self-sabotage doesn't make sense to me because there's usually you do that when there's a grander plan at work, and so I can't reconcile the self-sabotage with what the possibility of that grander plan could be.
Well,
I don't
obviously
know
we
what
saw
that is.
him go and unlock a secret door, and
But
he
that
has
can mean
those...
he's caught. That can mean he's
No,
like.
but he was pleased
No,
about that letter. He was like, "Oh yes, I did it."
Yeah,
Let's
he's like,
go
I
look
fooled
at
And
them.
he saved it
Yeah.
in his top drawer. That's special. Like,
Good point. Very good point.
yeah.
Well, then I just don't understand why he would do that. Then I don't understand why he would lead them to
Well,
catch
obviously-
them because they can get intel
But think
from them.
we see, well, not to jump into next episode, but look at that guy is released, or that guy
escaped, so
so
maybe
he
there was
knows-
a bigger plan
Yeah,
because he knows that
he's
those
smart.
7 would be taken somewhere.
He knows he has them
Okay.
trained so well to mimic all of that. He knows that these people are really smart and trained enough to know how to. I mean, they weren't even really in jail cells. It was like plywood behind them,
Right.
and like cage.
Anybody can break some plywood. I could even break
Yeah,
some
like,
plywood.
socking
I can
it.
do much of
So-
anything.
I would like to see that.
So I guess I'm just interested in seeing how that one kid escapes to see if that has any correlation to why he gave them away.
Well, I guess that's what I believe. That's what English is saying.
Yeah.
That's all part of the plan. Like part of the plan is knowing that he'll send them to this place to find those 7 bombs, and that will make these 7 look guilty. They'll then transport them to exactly where Charlie said they were going to transport them to, and that one specific guy has directions at, count to 212 and mile marker
whatever it ends up
70,
being.
and you're going to jump out the bus, and there's going to be more people waiting there for you.
Sneaky,
And then
sneaky. It
they
looks
have
like a-
those little jackets with the bombs on it to self-destruct because they don't care about losing their own life, obviously.
Yeah. So, all right. Well, anything else on Arasala and the 7 detainees before we move to our next subject, which I believe is one of your favorite subjects?
Are we going to talk
Hannah.
about Nick? Is that what
We are going to talk about Nick.
Arasala and the 7 Dwarves, I've got nothing.
All right. It's kind of true. So yeah, let's talk about Nick. The first taste of Nick that I feel in this episode is when we have the conversation with POTUS and Charleston talking about what's happening. She's looking for an update, and it feels to me that POTUS is having zero sympathy for Nick.
Which I don't understand because he's out there with, which one, it drove me absolutely crazy. Why can we not get that man a bulletproof vest? I
Right.
mean, not that I was bothered by him being in like a beater the whole episode, but
I thought that was a bulletproof beater.
stop your nonsense. Drove me crazy. I'm like, there are shots being fired everywhere, and poor man is basically naked out there, like ready to get killed.
They have to keep the
But-
sex in the show.
right? And they're
Right.
doing it all through him, which I'm not mad about. But it just drives me crazy because he's out there doing this. And I mean, I guess Charlie can't tell POTUS everything that he's doing, but she is just completely throwing shade on him. Like, does not like him or understand at all when he is there with Fada. Like, he is making everything that they want possible. It doesn't make sense to me why. It just shows how like selfish and stubborn the president is and biased in so many
Does
ways.
it show that the president knows that Charleston and Nick had a relationship previously?
Maybe. And
Do
if
we
it
think
does,
it's
it just-
personal?
Yes, absolutely. I think it's personal, and that's man. I mean, I have issues with POTUS, and I have decided I don't even think I can call her POTUS anymore. We're going straight to Cece because she does
Right.
not deserve any
Cece.
presidential.
You're right.
titling
I don't
anymore.
really care for her
She's
either.
not worthy of the presidential title. That's funny.
No,
But I mean, can you blame her if she kind of feels some type of way that Charleston has moved on so quick and is hooking up with this guy?
no. As a human, I can't blame her, but as the president, she is. We only got one president.
Right.
She is our number one. Figure it out.
Right.
Put your emotions aside.
She is very an emotional
Yeah.
president.
Oh, yeah.
She doesn't compartmentalize at all. Like for a president
No.
to be the president, you gotta compartmentalize your emotions. I mean,
Like
come
the
on.
only person the only situation that she's not emotional about is her own husband. Like
Right?
she has got things twisted
The one
so
place,
bad.
the one time, and with the one person that you can be the most vulnerable with, you put up a guard, a wall, and I get it. He cheated on you, but
10
dude,
years
this 10
ago.
years ago, this is your husband.
And the lady's
Yeah,
dead.
but still, I mean, you smell that. When you're in a relationship,
Yeah.
you smell that. She knows unlike, she knows that why he's talking to Senator Kylie is
Kyle.
fishing. Kyle.
I keep thinking Kylie Jenner every time
Right,
he says
right,
it.
right.
Sorry.
Wrong show.
Sorry. At least I called you guys all the right names tonight.
Thanks.
Got you, Purple. But yeah, I would think that she would smell that coming. But back to Nick. Yes, Nick is, and the thing that I actually love about Nick is even though he is there, he's still trying to protect Charleston.
Yes,
Right?
he is.
He's still trying to not tell, so that if she was questioned, she wouldn't have to say things, which eventually would protect him. Right. But still, he has the forethought of, I can't tell her this because then if she gets questioned and she gets caught, and if I get killed out here, then she's been lying.
And it's
Right.
all for nothing.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
I feel like I got a very good awareness, and I feel like he actually has true feelings for
Exactly.
Charleston. Yeah,
He's a good dude. And
good dude.
He's a good dude.
Oh, man.
And Cece over there being like, he's not coming out of this either way. I'm like, ma'am,
She doesn't care.
he is the one thing holding this show together for me. I'm like, nuh-uh,
Right.
nope.
Wait, did Cece say that or did Charleston?
Well, they both did.
Okay.
Cece did the first time, and then when Charleston connected the dots that she found out what he may have done,
Right.
she was like, yeah, he's not.
Okay.
He's going to burn or whatever she said either
Yeah.
way.
So let's talk about what he may have done. So we see this great scene in the Philippines with Nick and Fada and the guy that's, do we know the guy's name? Also the guy that's with them, the two of them? Or is it just one of Fada's soldiers?
I don't know.
Okay.
I think it was just
He's
some
about
dude.
to die soon.
Yeah,
Yeah,
right?
we all thought that. But we have this scene with them walking and they get confronted by these individuals and we see the three of them get away and there's shots fired and then they get caught again and then we see these shots fired but from somewhere that we don't know, these like sniper-esque shots.
Yeah.
So how do we feel about that? Do we think that, I mean, later we see that maybe it's Sid and we see that maybe it's Americans, but do we feel that, how did they find Nick? Did Nick tell somebody else? Is POTUS having somebody, like, how are they there? What do you guys think about
I
that?
have no. My initial reaction was like a United States, some sort of force that was firing, but I don't know why. There's no reason for me to think that. That's just what I thought initially.
Yeah, it doesn't. I don't understand why Americans are on the ground in that region of the world and what they're doing in relation to that operation. Or I guess it's not
Well,
an
do you
operation.
think
but I
they're
don't know.
there for Nick? Do you think that there's somehow
Well, clearly they
or
must be.
Fada tipped them off? Like, how do you think they just found them randomly in the forest in the Philippines to be able to save their lives? Like, is that far-fetched, or do we think that someone's given them the here we are? Is Nick using that phone to call somebody else as well? But no, because
But
then Nick.
did Nick tell Charlie where he's at?
No.
No.
So I don't.
I don't
yes,
think.
it
I
must
don't
have
think
the only
it's-
other.
I don't think Charlie knows that that there's people there, because even when they find out, they say it's some type of Marines that are there, and they found the dead American, and Charleston's like,
Right.
"Is it Nick?" And they say no.
Well, I felt
so
like-
that's a surprise to Charleston,
Right.
I believe.
Well, I felt like it was two separate groups because I felt like the snipers that were firing from above was not the same, in the same affiliation or whatever with Sid and the other man that was down there. Because I like Sid and I would hate to believe that he is doing something wrong. I really think that, and after the man died or was killed by Nick, I didn't feel like Sid's reaction was necessarily looking to retaliate. It was just kind of
It was like, oh shit.
exactly thinking that maybe it was a miscommunication to some degree. You know what I mean?
That he wished Nick would have known.
Exactly.
That they were there to protect them.
Exactly. And those costumes, can we just laugh about those? Because
Oh my god, I have Swamp Thing.
yeah,
I was like, who's Swamp Thing with the guns?
so funny. I was like, they would totally get caught in those. I feel like they would have looked more inconspicuous by not having those on at all.
Yeah, it's pretty dark. I don't know that they would be
They were, like,
unless they're
huge.
wearing like bright fuchsia clothes or
Right.
something,
Or
like fuchsia
purple.
colored or purple.
Hey, or pink. Ha!
I think Sid may be involved with the people that sniped.
Really?
Yeah, I think so. Because how
think
else would
so,
you
too.
explain? How else would you
Stop
explain
it,
that?
guys? I don't know, but we're
I
gonna
think
find a
it's the
way
same
to, because
group.
I like
I think
Sid.
it's the same because also like he held a knife up to Nick's throat and said, you know, whatever it is that he said. I can't remember the line.
I think it was something
He
like
did do
to the
that.
effect of "Don't follow us."
Yeah,
So
don't
we
follow
told
us.
you
or,
not
like,
to follow
exactly.
us.
Like
That's
stay
like
away.
tough love, though. That's like, looking out for him, kind of.
Right.
Well, but
So-
that was where it made me think that does Nick know? Because I believe his words, and you guys out there, let us know in the comments, because we do just watch the show and go on live right after. But I feel like it was something to the effect of "We told you to stay away."
Yeah,
Like it was something to the
that
effect of that, like, come on, dude, we already told you not to, like, to trust this or something.
So that's what makes me think that it's the same group. That's what I think. I don't know.
Maybe.
Well,
That's the only thing that makes sense to me.
Yeah.
I was also confused, though, maybe you guys caught on to this and I didn't, but I was also confused because Nick told Charleston before the whole experience happened with him killing the American that he was about to do something bad or wrong or whatever that he couldn't tell her. But then he was surprised when he pulled up the man's sleeve and saw that he was American. So I was like, how... Is that the bad thing that he knew he was going to do, or is there something else he's about to do that's worse?
I think the bad thing that he was going to do was just to get further involved with Fada. I don't know that the killing. I don't know that he didn't see that coming. It didn't register to me.
Unless the bad thing was that he was going to kill Sid, knowing that Charleston and Sid have a relationship, because he maybe thought that Sid was following him.
I didn't think he. I don't.
And
think
he
he
thought that
knows.
maybe.
I don't think he knows that Sid was.
I'm not
honest
sure,
there.
but I'm just saying maybe he knew, and that he saw that if Fada was going to get closer, I mean, if Sid and them were going to get closer to Fada, that it would blow Nick's cover, and Nick wouldn't trust
Oh, that
them.
makes sense. Okay.
So maybe he's like, I know that I have this tail to protect me, but I got to kill the tail so that I actually get to.
But
not
that wasn't
Hakeem,
established
but
though. That's
to-
very plausible. I think
Yeah.
that's definitely something that is believable
Right.
as far as the narrative is concerned. But it was never established, so that's
Yeah.
why I can't believe it right now.
It kind of didn't establish much about that situation in the Philippines. It's
Yeah,
kind
like
of just
who's the tail? It was never really. They didn't really go into detail.
Yeah, and we'll see. We'll see if they actually do get to. I want to call him Hakeem, and it's not Hakeem.
Shaka Khan.
Shaka Khan.
Khan.
That's what we're calling him,
Yeah.
affectionately.
Yes. If they will get to Shaka Khan, and see what happens. If Nick's gonna kill Fada, who knows?
And I love Fada.
On the
record.
there's a lot of love for Fada in here.
He's just
You
really
love the actor who
cute.
plays Fada.
Well, both.
Yeah. Okay. So let's real quick talk about. There's two other topics I want to hear your guys' opinions about, and then we'll get into some predictions. But how do we feel about acting director Banks?
Love, because I love Matthew Lillard so
Yeah.
much. I was
He
so
kind of
stoked.
nailed it.
Yeah,
He's
he kind of
so
did. He
nailed it.
did.
He should always be the director.
Oh, yeah.
The director of anything. Like he should just direct something.
Well,
Yeah.
I'm wondering if they kind of want to keep it that way because they made sure to bring him back up later in that episode. I feel like he knocked it out of the park.
Yeah, I
And
hope
it
he-
seemed like the president likes him.
Exactly.
I hope
Yeah.
his character is a recurring character for sure.
Oh, yeah.
He did a good job.
He brought life into the episode. I
Yeah,
really
for
felt
sure.
Like
Yeah.
a different tone.
And
Or
I feel like
balls. Should we say balls? Because no one else has balls.
I feel like the president. I feel like the way that it's panned out is that the president shouldn't like him, but she actually really
Yeah.
does. Cece. Okay, I like that. And then the other thing that I wanted to talk about real quick was how do we feel about Kurt? What's happening with Kirk and with Victor Gentry and him buying Kurt a car, but
I
then
think
having a
Kurt's gonna
GPS
die.
on it? Like,
Faux-show.
is there a story going on, or is that just a distraction? So we're not like, what happened to him? Like, how is that going to round back into the storyline?
Maybe like a red herring. I think he's at a moral kind of standstill, a moral fork in the road, because he doesn't really understand why he thinks that all of these gifts and all of these gestures are obviously before he finds the tracking device are just a show of good faith, but they're really, he confronts him and says, this is a recruitment. So I think, we'll see where, like, what decision he makes as to where his morality will take him. I don't know that he's all good or bad.
Do you
Not
think
yet.
his loyalty will go back to Maureen and he'll actually tell Maureen that this guy is questioning him and asking him to disclose this information that's classified?
I don't think it's clear at this point.
Yeah. I mean, because you see him pick the phone up and scroll past her name. So I don't know. I don't know if he's going to go, to the dark side, quote unquote. So,
I don't think he has enough balls to go. I'm talking about balls so much. Sorry. I don't think he has enough balls to go to the bad side.
Testicular fortitude.
Right.
I mean, I hope not. I just think he's a douchebag.
I don't think he. Yeah, I think
do.
he's kind of silly, or he doesn't.
but
know.
he's going to have to make a choice because there would be no
I
no
think he's
reason.
gonna
Wait, time
die
out.
before
There would
that's
be
gonna
no
happen.
reason for him to be in the. If he's not going to choose either to give Victor the information or to go back to Charleston to try and win their, trust and tell. Like, there's no reason for him. He's either going to go one way or the other.
or he's gonna die, and now
but him dying would do what?
But now we know
him
exactly.
off,
But now we know
thankfully.
exactly what he's wanting. He's wanting information, what Bellerophon or whatever it's called, and then he wants information on where is Fada or where's
Information on
Hakeem.
Bellerophon and
Hakeem.
I think if he
And
gives them
Fada.
information, it'll keep assuming.
I think he's
that
going to do
the-
one or the other.
Yeah,
I think they're
assuming
gonna.
that it
He's gonna
continues
get
on.
information out of them, and then they're gonna kill him. And so then,
I mean, maybe. I feel like the only way, I mean, that is if the show continues on, then by him giving up information, it's created another plot point. It keeps things interesting. But I mean, if they don't get to continue on the show, then I mean, I hope that he just doesn't give them information. Just call it what it is.
he
All
gets
right.
another job.
Yeah.
Well, I think that about wraps up everything that we've kind of seen in this episode. It was another good episode. We're all on board now. Before we go, again, why don't we tell the people where you guys can be found until next week, where we will be right here again doing another AfterBuzz show. Make sure you subscribe to our YouTube channel so that you can see us pop up. YouTube.com AfterBuzzTV.
down here.
Hashtag
Hashtag.
ABTV State OA. And where can the people find you English until next week?
You guys can always find me on Instagram at Pink English, as well as on Twitter, English Speaks.
You guys can find me on Instagram and Twitter at Julian Dujaric.
You all can find me on Instagram and Twitter at the Hotshot Dude.
And you guys can find me, Steph Z, at I am Steph Z on Twitter and Instagram. Thank you guys so much, and we will see you next week. Enjoy watching.
From executive producers Maria Menounos, Kevin Undergaro, Phil Svitek, and the entire AfterBuzz TV staff, we would like to thank you for listening to the AfterBuzz TV network. To watch or listen to other after shows and post comments or questions, be sure to visit AfterBuzzTV.com. I'm Sir Richard Wentworth, and this has been a presentation of AfterBuzz TV.
Buzz
you later.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.